They say neighborhoods have personalities. Some are warm and welcoming, others cold and distant. And then there's the kind that smiles at you while planning your downfall. I learned that lesson the hard way the day a city official knocked on my door, holding a clipboard like it was a court summons. "Mr. Carter," he asked, adjusting his glasses. "I'm here about a violation of HOA fence height regulations and an unapproved mailbox design." I leaned against the porch railing, coffee in hand, and let out a slow chuckle. "That's cute," I said, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "I'm not in the HOA." A flicker of movement caught my eye across the street. There she was, Linda Grayson, self-appointed czar of Penaview Estates, staring from her perfectly trimmed lawn. Even from a distance, her scowl could have curdled milk. The official looked confused, flipping through his papers. Sir, are you sure? The complaint lists your property at 312 Maple Lane as part of Penaview HOA. I remember the smug tilt of her head when I first moved in. It feels like ages ago now. "My name's Alex Carter. I'm a graphic designer who works remotely. After years of cramped city apartments where I could hear my neighbor's TV through the walls, I saved up enough to buy a house. I found a cozy two-story with a wide front yard, perfect for the wildflower meadow I'd always wanted to plant. The neighborhood seemed perfect at first: quiet streets, tidy homes, and friendly nods from joggers. But what sealed the deal was something you wouldn't spot on a real estate app. My new house sat just outside Penaview's HOA boundaries. I verified it with my realtor, cross-checked county records, and studied HOA maps until my head spun. It was intentional. I wanted to live free from rules about lawn ornaments or mailbox colors. Before I signed, the sellers warned me, "Watch out for Linda Grayson. She's intense." I should have listened. I met her the day I moved in. While I was hauling boxes, she marched over, clipboard in hand, her smile as stiff as cardboard. "Welcome to Penaview," she said, voice dripping with fake warmth. "I'm Linda Grayson, HOA president. I'll need you to sign these membership forms and review our community guidelines." I dusted off my hands and looked her in the eye. "Thanks, but I'm not in the HOA. This property isn't part of Penaview." Her smile flickered like a dying bowl. "Oh, surely you'll join voluntarily," she pressed. "We value our standards." "Here." I kept my tone polite, but firm. "I'm good, thanks." The air grew chilly. Linda's eyes narrowed, her grip tightening on her clipboard. "I hope you'll maintain your property to our standards anyway," she said, voice sharp enough to cut glass. "We wouldn't want property values to drop." She spun around and strode off. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The first month was peaceful. I set up my home studio, unpacked, and started my wildflower garden, a vibrant patch of daisies, poppies, and lavender along my walkway. My neighbors loved it. The older couple next door even asked for seeds. But Linda, she watched from her porch like a hawkeye and a mouse. 2 days after I finished planting, the first letter arrived. Official Penaview HOA letterhead, signed with Linda's flourishing signature. It claimed my garden violated approved flora regulations under Section 4.1. I had 7 days to remove it or face a $50 daily fine. I laughed it off. I wasn't in the HOA, and she knew it. I tossed the letter in a drawer, assuming she'd give up. She did in single quotes T. The letters piled up, each more absurd than the last. By the 4th, she claimed I owed for $100 in fines. Then came threats of lawsuits. My mailbox was excessively rustic. My porch light stayed on 10 minutes too long. My doormat was visually disruptive. I figured she'd tire herself out. I was wrong. Her next move came when I installed a small fountain in my yard. The old one was a cracked eyesore, so I replaced it with a sleek stone basin that gurgled softly. My neighbor, Sarah, helped me set it up. "Looks classy," she said, admiring it. Linda's response: she showed up while I was at the hardware store, caught on my security camera measuring my fountain and snapping photos like she was auditioning for a detective show. The next letter claimed my fountain violated an approved water feature list, limited to 3 designs: tiered, colonial, or none. Soon, she escalated to city officials. A tired-looking inspector showed up one morning. "Got a complaint about an unpermitted structure," he said, almost embarrassed. I showed him my permits for the garden and fountain, explaining I wasn't in the HOA. He jotted notes, apologized for the bother, and left. "We get these calls sometimes." Next, a utilities inspector arrived to check my new rainwater collection system fully permitted. "Of course, nice setup," he said. "Wish more folks did this." Linda glared from her window, undeterred. Her grand finale was a police call. claiming unauthorized construction and, get this, potential vandalism in my yard. Officer Daniels arrived, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "We got a report about an illegal structure and suspicious activity," he said. I nearly choked on my coffee. "It's a fountain." He asked to see it, so I showed him. The yard, where he found a hose, some mulch, and a very threatening trowel well. He laughed. "This isn't exactly a crime scene." That was my limit. I started documenting everything, every letter, every visit, every call. I added more cameras, kept a detailed log, and filed Freedom of Information Act requests with the city. What I found was staggering. Linda had submitted falsified documents, claiming my property was within Pennaview's HOA. She'd even faked minutes from a non-existent meeting where my home was voted into the association. This wasn't just harassment, it was fraud. I called my friend Mike, a lawyer, who reviewed my evidence with wide eyes. "Alex, this is serious," he said. "We can act on this." We drafted a cease and desist letter outlining every false report and forged document, clearly stating my property's legal status outside the HOA. Any further actions would lead to a lawsuit. I sent in certified mail. Linda's security camera caught her opening it on her porch. Her face went pale. Then, flushed with fury, she crumpled the letter and stormed inside. 3 days passed quietly, and I dared to hope. Then she made her final mistake. Linda called an emergency HOA meeting to push for stricter enforcement. But some board members were fed up with her crusade. Sarah, also on the board, filled me in later. "She claimed you were ruining the neighborhood," Sarah said. "But when we asked for proof, she had nothing but photos of your flowers and fountain." The board demanded documentation that my property was in the HOA. Linda faltered, saying it was filed. They called the management company. No record existed. One board member, Rachel, a no-nonsense attorney, asked Linda if she'd acted without approval. That's when I stepped in. Mike suggested I attend as a guest, per HOA bylaws. I walked in with my folder, requested 5 minutes to speak, and watched Linda turn scarlet. "He can't be here. He's not a member," she snapped. Rachel calmly cited the bylaws. I presented my county maps, the cease and desist letter, and evidence of Linda's false reports. "I'm ready to file harassment charges," I said, "but I'd rather settle this quietly." The room went silent. Linda stammered. I was protecting our standards. The board wasn't convinced. They held a vote of no confidence on the spot. Linda lost 6-1, her own vote the only one in her favor. The city investigation wrapped up, issuing Linda a warning for false reports, with fines and potential charges for future violations. Word spread fast. Linda's boss, who ran a local realty firm, called her in after clients threatened to pull listings over her behavior. Sarah said it was a brutal meeting. The next day, I added a laminated boundary map by my mailbox with a sign, "Not your HOA, not your problem." It caught on. Other non-HOA neighbors put up similar signs. One made a fox plaque, "Free since 1960. Another planted a bigger garden with a sign, "Whole free blooms, help yourself." Within weeks, 3 board members resigned. The new president, Rachel, clarified HOA boundaries and even praised my fountain. Linda kept her job barely but lost all influence. The police flagged her for nuisance calls, and a neighbor she'd targeted before me sued for harassment, winning $12,000 in damages. Linda still lives across the street, but she's quiet now. Sometimes I catch her glancing at my wildflowers, but she keeps her distance. And that, dear viewer, is how a clipboard dictator got her comeuppance. If you enjoyed watching Linda's petty HOA power trip implode, smash that like button. It helps more people find stories like this. And if you love seeing entitled folks face reality, subscribe for more true tales of neighborhood drama, revenge, and sweet justice. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.